Today we're talking about ammo storage, some do's and don'ts, some suggested ideas on how to store your ammunition, where to store your ammunition, why to store your ammunition, and all that stuff. In the last couple of years, for those of you that are, gun people, the firearms community, I think we've all seen like what an ammo shortage combined with a buying frenzy, combined with hyperinflation has really done to like just the cost and availability of ammunition across the board. So, if you're lucky enough to find it, and you can find it at a reasonable price, or you paid through the nose for it, but at least you got it, at the very least you want to make sure that you're keeping it as safe as you can so that, curious eyes and minds don't get to it. But you also want to keep it so that if you're getting it to, hold on to it for a long time. Not that it goes bad, but you want it to function the way that it's supposed to function when you need it to function, especially in that God forbid type of scenario. So today we're talking about the do's and don'ts of ammunition storage. Stay with me. What's up, warriors? This is Kiyoshi Dave Herman with 5 Elements Tactical Training, here to share with you some warrior skills and drills that anyone can learn and everyone should know. If you're new to the channel, welcome and thanks for stopping by. If you already follow us on social media and that's how you found your way over to this channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell notification button and that little thing where it says all notifications, so YouTube will let you know when the next video drops, and you get all sorts of cool content from here as well. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is why you should be storing your ammunition. Like, you don't just buy it in a box and, leave it in your car or your garage or wherever. But, of course, you want to store it in such a way that it's safe, and we're keeping it away from, like, curious eyes and minds, and that no unauthorized people are able to, like, get a hold of it and use it, especially for, like, any sort of nefarious purposes. But, again, primarily it's just that you, like we prep our food stocks and our food storage and our, long-term food stores. You want to do the same thing with your ammunition. So, obviously you're going to buy it in a box or buy it by the case or however you're going to get it, but then how are we going to break it down? How are we going to keep it? Where are we going to keep it? Why are we going to keep it? And the why is really just primarily to keep it safe, secure, and out of the hands of anybody that shouldn't be using it. And that in the event that your plan is to store it for a long, long time, that's going to be good to go when you need it, whether it's for the range, for duty, or hunting, or whatever your case may be. The second thing is, where are you going to store it? And the rule of thumb is just a cool, dry, and safe place. So something that is somewhat stable in temperature, somewhat stable and low in humidity, and preferably like locked away somewhere. So whether it's a gun locker, gun cabinet, a locked closet, or a gun safe, or any of those things. And again, ideally separate from your firearms themselves. Obviously, if you have, firearms for home defense, that stuff's going to be like, ready to go when you take it out of your safe. But even those things should be locked away safely and securely, again, to keep them out of, curious eyes and minds and hands, to keep it safe from that, It's all part of responsible gun ownership, but you guys know that already. So when we talk about cool and dry place, so for me, I keep the bulk of my ammunition in my basement because it's kind of like a steady temperature all year round. I have a humidifier dehumidifier in the room, a big, powerful one that keeps the whole basement dry. And it's a little bit of a nuisance in the summertime when it's hot and humid to keep dumping that thing out. But, I guess everybody has their priorities. For me, I have a lot of my tools in that basement. So for me, it's keeping my stuff good to go, especially for that, God forbid scenario where I just might need it, Keeping it dry is also like in my safe. I use these plug-in, what do you call these things? They're gel, what's it called? Renewable mini dehumidifier. Basically, it's got those gel bead things inside there. And it's always got a label on the front. If it's blue, the stuff in there is dry. If it's kind of on the purple or pinkish side, it's kind of not dry. And you just flip this thing out, plug it in the wall, leave it a few, overnight, I guess. And when the thing turns blue, I put it back in the safe, and I've got a bunch of them. So I keep them. I have several in my gun safe. I like to use cedar, either a cedar block, and even when you get, you could buy this stuff by the bag and put it into smaller containers that you take out, you put in the oven. I think it's you put them in at like 300 degrees for like 3 hours or something, and the same thing, the color changes on them, and then you put it back. But all right, and how to store your ammunition. So I got 5 different ways that I use. I'm a firearms instructor, and I recommend to my students all the time. There are a lot of people that say, keeping your ammunition in the box is a no-go. And it's not because like it's going to hold water, but the cardboard of the box itself, if it gets wet, can hold some moisture and can get the ammunition funky. Again, that depends, I think, a lot on where you're going to keep it. So if you're going to leave it in your garage or in your car or a place that the temperature and the humidity fluctuates a lot, then again, that's going to be an issue. The stuff that I keep in the box usually is the stuff that I know I go through pretty often. So I'm a police officer. I train a lot. I take a lot of classes. I'm a firearms instructor, both at my police job and then 5 Elements Tactical Training on the side. I teach a lot. So I go through a lot of ammunition. It's almost like a business expense, a business, necessity. So the ammunition that I go through more frequently, I guess it doesn't stay in a box all that long. But, for the people that say it's a no-go, I guess if I was going to store it long term, I would go with one of the other means of keeping it then in the box. But if you're going to keep it in the box and you're putting it in a cool, dry place where it's not going to be getting humid and then dry and humid and dry, where the cardboard is going to be retaining some of that moisture and humidity, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm sure the ones that do are going to put the comment below, but that's the purpose of the channel too. I like when you guys do that and we get the conversation going because I learn a lot of stuff from you guys too. Now, the next way is going to be in magazines. So there's another, people say you can't keep it stored in the magazine, the spring will go bad, the follower, and all the other parts of the magazine that, no, I wouldn't do that. Well, my police job, I have a magazine in my duty firearm, and it's loaded all the time. I carry 2 spare magazines on duty. I carry a spare magazine, when I'm off duty. And those are loaded all the time. Again, I guess I use them when I go shooting, like for qualifying for work and stuff. But for the most part, those magazines are always full, and every time I use them, they're good to go. Could they malfunction like any other magazine? Absolutely. But that's why you practice your reloads and your malfunction drills and all your other tactical, things to like, oh my God, like if it, God forbid it goes click, not bang, that's why we practice those things. But so like I have a lot of my ammunition separate from my firearms. But the ones that I have for home defense or, I do a lot of security work too. So like I have several safes throughout my house where, I'm going to this job. All right, I need that gun for that job. And those are loaded. And when I take the magazine that's going to go with me, that stuff is all together. My home defense stuff, for work training purposes, I like to use a chest rig because it's something that I could throw on over whatever I'm using. So the magazines that I keep in my chest rig are, they're loaded, but they're loaded all the time. So I have my AR magazines, my Glock magazines. That's just another way that I keep them. So first one is going to be in the box. Next way will be in magazines. All right, so the next way is, now this drives my wife a little bit crazy, jars. And I use different size jars for different stuff. This is an old tube that I used to have from playing paintball a long time ago that I just repurposed it. And this will hold, man, I don't know, like 1,000 rounds of 22, which again, I use that a lot for instructional purposes. So I like using this thing. The small jars, I usually use this if I'm going to go to the range and I have like my duty ammo, but I'm going to use my magazines and I want to shoot range ammo. You use different ammunition for different purposes. So what I'll do is I'll open the jar and I'll put all my duty ammo in there and I close it up and I set it aside and then I load it with my range ammo. And when I'm done at the range, I take the duty ammo and I put it back in. It's an easy way to separate and organize. Like most of my 9mm ammunition is the same grain count. So like ordinarily I label all my stuff like what the ammunition is for, what caliber it is, what grain it is, especially for my precision rifle ammunition, when I bought it, and when I stored it. And then it's just like, hey, same thing with our preps, right? If you're storing rice and beans and pasta and stuff, you got to make sure you're staying on top of that stuff. Like the first stuff I bought is going to be the first stuff I use, and the oldest stuff that the first stuff that I bought is going to be the first stuff I use. The newer stuff goes in the back, and you kind of cycle through it, just like the grocery store or the ammunition store. So the jars, again, these are mayonnaise, peanut butter, and this Costco, BJ's. I don't know where else. Those are where I usually get them. You get like this is mixed nuts, or you know, dark chocolate covered almonds. That's one of my favorites. But when it's done, these square things, I'll show you in a minute, but they're fantastic. I like it that they don't roll. They hold a good amount of ammunition. They're easy to reach in and out of, whereas these other ones, you got to kind of dump it a little bit. I like, especially like, you know, for my 308, I want to reach in and just grab a handful. I could do that with these. They're stackable. If you want to store it this way, they stack. They're just awesome. You know, nuts are expensive, but I kind of buy it more for the jar than for the nuts that come in it. The nuts are the bonus. So another one on this, you know, along the same lines as jars is Tupperware. So I have a lot of students that they'll show up and they'll be like, need some ammo? And it's pretty cool. Like, it's in the easy way. But for me, I don't like the stuff that, again, different strokes for different folks. You get Chinese food or something, and you get those soup containers, and again, it stays on there pretty well, but ammunition gets pretty heavy, and you know, you've never like dropped a whole box of ammunition or dropped a whole jar or whatever container of ammunition. It's a nuisance to clean up. So something that where it's going to be heavy and it's not the most structural thing, light ammunition or not a lot of ammunition. I do use these sometimes. The Tupperware, personally, I'm not a big fan of for that reason. It's just a little bit too easy for them to open and spill out. But I know some people that love it. I just think maybe they haven't had to clean up too much ammunition yet. Maybe they'll come around. Again, something where you could like lock the lid on there. Have I had it spill out of there? Yes. But it's a lot less frequent than I've had it with these type of things. All right. And the next way to store it is in ammo cans. So there's a few different choices of ammo cans around. So there's the plastic ones, which come in different sizes. The metal ones, like, you know, mil-spec type of ones where it's a 50 cal and a 30 cal, and there's I forget what the other one's called, but it's like a much bigger box. It gets heavy. It does get very heavy. So, you know, just be mindful of that stuff. Several things, though. When you're going to get any sort of can, you want to make sure that it's got this rubber gasket around there, and that's what's going to keep, like, water, moisture, and stuff out of there. I always make sure that, again, that I'm pretty, you know, you got to be organized with this. So, like, again, if you only have a 9mm gun and you're only be storing 9mm ammunition, maybe you'll just have that stuff. Just that's an ammo thing, and that's where my ammo is, because I only use one kind of ammo. But when you have different types of guns and different types of ammunition for different types of purposes, then of course you want to be pretty organized with how you store it. So again, I'll put at the very least, like, so this is for work, so it says duty 9mm ammo. This is just 22. Again, I use a lot of that with my firearm students. When it comes to ammo cans, there's all different ways to do it. Some people will just open the ammo can and just fill it with ammo, and that's one cool way. Again, you got to make sure that you're careful with it, because it frustrates me to dump something this size, let alone dumping something this size. That's just like, I'm a little bit big on layering my systems of organizing my ammunition. So for instance, not too heavy, but in here I have 5.56, and I just have a whole bunch of loaded magazines, you know, for my AR. And again, this is for work training purposes, you know, classes I take, classes I teach. You know, sometimes I gotta, you know, demonstrate, or I try to take a lot of classes because, you know, we don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our training. So I'm big on training, especially if your life is going to depend on something like that. If you're in a job where you carry a firearm, you should be training with it. This is just, it's 22, and I just took these boxes. And again, where I'm keeping this is really dry, and I go through them a lot. So these are boxes of, how much? So 500 rounds each. And these boxes of, each one is 500 rounds. And look how nicely that fits in there. So it's nice, easy way to keep it organized. That if I know that I'm going to be teaching a class with a lot of people who are using 22 rifle, or we're going to be doing a lot of shooting for the day. So 1,500 rounds, it's a little heavy, but handle, sturdy box. It's got the gasket, right? Keeps it nice and dry in there. And then I could take out just a box, and a box at a time, or whatever. Oftentimes, like, I have more than these cans, so I'll have another can that just has a bunch of magazines for, they're going to be doing a lot of pistol shooting that day, so I'll throw some magazines in. They're great storage containers to begin with. Now this, check this out. So inside the, if I'm getting these numbers wrong, you guys will let me know. But I think I got this one at Costco or BJ's. They had these on sale. It was, you bought 2 of them. I think it was for 20 bucks. That's a steal for these. So this came in this, and then you brought it home and you just take them apart and whatever. So in here, I should know exactly how many of each there are in here, how many rounds I fit. I'm going to say about 400 rounds, which is about 8 boxes of 9mm ammo. I typically keep the label of what I have in there if I'm not going to label the top. You know, or some of my lids are labeled, some are not. If it's not labeled, like I just took a whole thing and filled it with the same kind. I put the, let's see what's in this one. Same stuff. So a lot of times classes I'll take will be shooting, you know, a lot. So again, I could bring this box, keep it in my truck. We're going to be shooting for the day. I'll take out 1 bottle instead of one jar instead of carrying the whole thing around. So again, I use layers of storage and organization just because it's a little bit easier on me. Again, depending on how much you're shooting, where you're shooting, what kind of ammunition you're shooting. So as always, guys, you know, I show you the way I do it, and I love when you put in your comments and let me know how you do it, or what you think I'm doing wrong, what you think I'm doing right. Any comments, any ideas, because I definitely feel like I learned just as much from you guys as I hope I'm passing on and sharing with you guys. So by all means, you know, if you have a like, dislike, a different way you do it, a different way you store it, why you do it. You know, sometimes people tell me they do it a certain way, and I'm like, well, why do you do it that way? And they're like, I don't know, that's how I learned it. And, you know, if that's how you learned it and it works for you, I'm all ears. But if you got a reason why you do it that way, that's always a little bit better at convincing me, or at least so that when I pass it on to somebody else, I could give them the reason why I do it, or why you do it, or why I shared it that way. Well, if you made it this far and you like what I'm teaching and preaching, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and like this video. If you're loving it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you gotta have it, make sure you hit the bell notification button and a little thing where it says all notifications, so YouTube will let you know when the next video drops. If you're really digging it and you want more, you can find me on all social media platforms at 5 Elements Tactical. That's all I got for now, warriors. So until our paths cross again, pray for the best, prepare for the rest. I'm Kiyoshi Dave Herman with 5 Elements Tactical Training. Thanks for watching.